All right, so my name is Prince. Happy to have all of you here. Thanks for joining. Hope everyone is fine. I don't know how many of you were able to join yesterday's session on Kobo Toolbox. If you were able to join yesterday's session, it would be great to know. You can probably drop a message in the chat, in the Q&A. We did some programming Kobo yesterday to collect live data. And today we want to see how you can connect Kobo data to Power BI for visualization. The idea is basically, as project managers or monitoring evaluation specialists, you collect data from the field, and you sometimes get the data coming in from so many different places, many different people. Yeah, one of the things you usually want to do, want to visualize the data in a way that as the data comes from the field, as people are collecting the data in the field, you see what is happening in a visual straight away without having to constantly download Excel files and things like that. All right, so that is the main thing we want to do today. If we have some time, we look at how to visualize such M&E data in geographic information as well. All right, so happy to have all of you here. I'm into projects, and I'm currently regional representative for UK charity Bouquet International. I've been in data for some time, and I think it's just good at this time to use that. Now, before we go into Power BI, I'm going to stop this share now. And pardon me, I have multiple screens that I'm looking at. So if I'm not looking directly, that's fine. We are going to go back into Kobo, look at what happened yesterday. We're going to go back into Kobo and just, take a look at a simple data. In fact, I had wanted to use some of the data that was worked on yesterday, but I think we would very quickly enter some data in Kobo and, just use that data to see how we can visualize live data in Power BI. GIS. Now, if you don't have Power BI installed on your computer, I advise that you go to Microsoft powerbi.microsoft.com. Let me just type that in the charts. Go to Power BI, Microsoft.com. We should be able to download Power BI Desktop. That is the key product we'll be using for today's work. So it's very important that you're able to join. All right. So while you do that, I'm quickly just going to go into Kobo, and I'm going to drop you this document. Let me know when you receive it. I'm going to drop you. Okay, great, Isaac. It's wonderful. I'm going to drop you a file. Which is actually the questionnaire we'll be using to populate some data. Okay, maybe I'll send it later in the post. I'm just going to program that now in Kobo. Now, when you come in Kobo, of course, we've already done Kobo yesterday, so we're not going to go into all of that, but we just want to create a new project. And we are going to title this project Kobo to BI. And of course, the sector. So we can just keep it, let's say other. In the country, let me select Ghana. All right. So in Kobo, I have opened, okay, I don't know if you can you see my screen? In the chat. Okay, great. All right. So we're going to use this simple questionnaire to get some data that we're going to visualize in Power BI. All right. Oh, I'm on. So we are in Power BI. We are in Kobo Toolbox. And I think from our questionnaire, the first section we want to work on is name, gender, and position. So we can ask the question, what is your name? Come on. Oh. And this question type, we'll just save it quickly. Then, what is your gender? We will limit this to just step one. New. We don't want to add other things. Then position. We don't want to leave this open-ended, so we can create a few project positions, maybe project manager, project, maybe another one. Monitoring and evaluation. Great. So we are done with part one, and I'm just going to group, these questions. Call it part one. All right, great. So I'll close that. Then the next section, we want to look at the project details. So project name in section year. Okay. Start by typing project name. Or probably no, because I'm going to ask you to enter some data. So I think it's best if we define this. I'll just define, let's say, 3 projects. Oh, I think my piece. And the browser is sort of misbehaving. Wow. Let me just stop the share. I don't know why they are responding. I need to find out where it's from. So it'll only be a second. And then I'm going to ask you to, I'll send you a link so you can add some data that we would use to do a live visualization in Power BI. Well, I usually don't experience this, but I don't know. My Chrome just seems to be frozen. Taking a little bit of time to come back. All right. So I'm just recording. So like I was saying earlier, if you don't have Power BI installed, I sent the link. You can go to powerbi.microsoft.com and very quickly get that installed. Um, so you can see how the visualization will look like. It's very helpful to well, sorry about this. I'm just going to share my screen again. I don't recall experiencing that. All right, so share my screen again. Yeah. That's very quickly. And I'm in the chat. You can see my screen. It's sharing now. Okay. Please, can anyone confirm that you can see my screen? I need to be sure so then I don't. One. Okay. Part two. Okay, thank you. Right. So the part two is project name, project inception. So what is the project name? I would like to give a few. Let's say we have Coco. We have home and education. Then we have community action project. So we have three projects. All right. And the name is name of project. Then our next question would be year of inception. Oh no. Year of inception, we'll use date. So they have to select whatever year over here. Year of project inception. Great. Next question is number of male, number of female. Okay, good. Now we do a calculation. Total number of. What is the total number of male beneficiaries? And we are doing this because we want to see how we can connect COBOL data. That's why we have to enter some data here. So the total number has to be a number. And what I could actually just duplicate this and change this. Same thing basically. And then the last one, I'm going to do a calculation. I want my system to give me an automatic total. You know, so I'm just going to do a little calculation. When I get here, I'm going to say, well, I want you to calculate total number of the on. Great. And that is a calculation question. It won't show on the form, but in the data, it will calculate the total for me to see. The last thing, okay, okay, the last project visit dates and then project location, right? Project visit date. And this also is going to be date. And then after GPS, we're going to use point. And that's about it. Let me just group these as well. Make everything simple. Yeah, okay, great. So I'm going to group these as well. All right, so here we go. I'm going to send you this form, and I'm going to ask you to enter some data into the form. The GPS part, I advise, so we are not going to use Google Collect. You will use the mobile Android application. You're going to use your web browser. If you're using a computer or you're using a phone or tablet, you just use your web browser. And if it asks you whether you want to show your location, say no, you block your location so you can enter the GPS information manually. I'm going to give you a document that has some GPS coordinates which we can use for our demonstration. We would use the same file for geographic information system visualization. So you will use your web browser, and if it asks to show your location or allow access to the location, you say no. All right, great. So I'm just gonna preview this form, be sure everything is looking great. I've not set any mandatory questions, but I hope you take your time to input for every part. We don't really have all the time. All right, great. I think everything looks good. Validate. All right. So we will go back and just deploy this form that we've created. And I'm gonna send you the link right away. All right. All right, Kobo does some of those funny things sometimes. There's always nothing to worry about. All right, so you are going to give me the data on your computer or phone using your browser. Not, we're not going to use the Android application, as I'm not going to send you server information to configure that. For those of you who were part of yesterday's training. So I'm just going to drop the link in the chat. All right, so I'm going to ask you to go to this link right now and start sending data. Now, this is the document that I would like you to use. I've got coordinates. I'm going to drop that in the chat right now. Please download, and you can use any of those coordinates as you please for any form that you fill. So once you enter, it'll probably redirect you to a thank you page, but you can click the link again to bypass the one of entry and enter another one. So we're just going to spend a minute or two, and I'm going to be tracking when the data comes in here. Then we can go to Power BI and begin visualizing. All right, so please download the file I sent you. And when you get to coordinates, when you get to GPS, the question on GPS, you enter the first one as longitude, you enter the second one as latitude, and that is it. If you see anything on altitude and proximity, you can leave those things and just answer the next question, which is on the date, whatever. Yeah. So I'm waiting just a minute or two. I'm waiting to see some data, then we can go and visualize. All right, so please, everyone should participate at this point. I'm just waiting for the data to come through. So just click on that link in your browser, and it will take you to fill in the form. All right, when I open it, I think I'm gonna enter data myself, just one lady. Mail, program manager. Okay. Reaction. But I have 578 mails, and I have 7 benefiting from this project. My last visit was October I'm just going to select any date. And then I'm going to go to my document, the coordinates document. I'm going to, so accuracy and altitude, you can leave that out. Just fill in the X and Y. Okay, so I'm going to choose this data. I'm going to enter. Right. So once you do that, the map should even change. Let me know that this community is somewhere in Ghana. Okay, great. So the year of project inception, when did the project start? I'm just gonna go to maybe 2020, then submit. So I'm waiting. If others can push your data through, that would be very helpful. Otherwise, then we're gonna have challenges visualizing. So one person as well has sent. Thank you. But we need more, please. If we can try our best to be a little fast about it. But we're not going to go into the main job today. For submissions, you can do more than one, just to help us get something that's helpful. You can select another project. You can enter multiple. But let's make sure we're not selecting male throughout, even if we're all males. I know that we do that. So, but if you're a male, you can still choose some. We just want to have some variety in the data. Um, okay. Last project visit. Then just select randomly one of these four. Right. Each section is um, okay, so inception dates, let's not keep all of it in 2022. I should have actually created the fields to select that instead of opening it up. But since we're already filling the forms, yeah, let's make it a variety, maybe 2021, 2022, 2023 years would be great. I'm just going to take a look at the submissions again. Right. Yes, there's a variety of dates in the 19, 20, 21. That's great. Thank you. All right, I think because of time, we'll probably move on to see what we can do in Power BI. But never mind, you can still send in if you're still filling up. You can still send additional for when we have to do GIS. All right. So now we have our data. What we need to do is how do we connect this data to Power BI such that we don't have to go to download and always download XLS, CSV, and all of those. Because this means then that as a project manager, as a monitoring and evaluation person, you constantly have to, keep downloading data. And that may not work very well. I mean, you need things to be dynamic. There's really no time as things are coming through. Otherwise, each day you're going to download so many files or they are uploaded into a data analysis tool. And I don't think that is the kind of thing you want to go through, especially if you need to be giving updates to, leadership, senior management, by the hour or by the day. You can't keep downloading all these documents if there's a lot of data coming through. All right, so what you want to do is you want to make Kobo provide a link that you can use to be able to tell Power BI that I always want you to look here. When you are searching for this type of data, I want you to look at this link and find refresh data. Any new data that comes on that link, Power BI will pick it up, and then you can update your visuals, your dashboard, which we're going to look at today. All right, so what's the process of doing this? And this is where I'll request that perhaps you don't try to practice right now, but you try to follow visually, take down some notes, and just see how it's done. Because if you get this, then you are good. The rest of the work in Power BI is usually not complex. You can always learn Power BI on your own. There are other courses in this conference on Power BI. Shouldn't be a problem. Great. So let me just close this. Right. Now, I'm going to be sending you, this note file, which I created just to guide you. Let me just drop the link for you to see it. And if I'm moving too fast, please let me know through the chat. If you have a question, drop it in the Q&A. I'll take a look. So let's be interactive. I don't want us to rush and then we don't kind of like pick the skills that we need. All right. So I just dropped that link over there. The link that I sent you is the simplest way to do this. There are several ways, and people use all kinds of ways, especially if you have been in data science for some time. I have a second way that is also about, that would be a bit more complex, though I will show you how to do that as well for those who already have experience in data science. All right. So when you look at the link that I sent, what the link is saying basically is that the link that Power BI is going to require to be able to pick data live is the KPI. And when we say KPI, we simply mean the Kobo URL that you're using to create your forms. All right, I hope you're following. And then there'll be /API, that's the application programming interface, or the API /version2. In fact, in the past, you could use version 1 to even do this, but that has changed. And now we basically use version 1 for maybe just connect and some of the processing softwares. But okay, thank you, Francis. It's good to know that people are there, since I cannot see your videos or anything. All right. Then the next thing is slash assets and then forward slash asset UID. When we say asset UID, this is what we're talking about. Okay, let me just show you on the screen right now. When you click on the form, or let's say you go home, and I have a lot of projects here, so I've archived most of them for you to see. Now we are focusing on Pogo 2. This is the thing we created today, right? Great. Now, if we click on this project and we click on form, either form or summary, whether form or summary, any of them, you can decide to keep it as summary. You will see the link over here. Now, you have some data between forms and summary. Okay, I'm talking about this data. Okay, this is what we call it asset UID. Asset means the form. So what is the unique identification for this form that you are creating? So Kobo assigns a unique ID to every form, which is called asset. So in the link that we spoke about, asset UID is this particular data that I just highlighted on the screen. So take note of this. We're going to need it. Then the last thing you need is to do / export settings. Okay. Now, before I go ahead to activate that link, I'm going to go into my form. Okay. I want you to take, just look at what I'm about to do. Variables. So when I click on this form and go to data, and I go to downloads, I'm going to attempt exporting this data. All right, you just follow. It's nothing complex. Nothing complex. And I'm going to select over here, save selection as. All right, remember, I want to use export in the link that I shared with you. And I said there are many ways to do this, but I'm showing you the simplest way. I'm going to come to downloads, attempt to download data, and then click save selection as. I'm going to call this maybe go to BI dash. That's the name I want to select. If I want to select only specific parts of the data, I can do that here, and I can leave out all of these things. But I'm not going to do that because I want us to see how to clean data in Power BI. So I'm going to leave some of those things, metadata, node status, and all of those things. And I'm just going to click on export. When I click on export, it will generate what you have here. And that is all I need to do. It'll give me a link to the data, but I'm not going to download the data. It's just been processed. I'm not going to download the data for any reason. Now, having done this, I'm now going to go, it's still processing. It should just finish that. Great, that's fine, it's not ready. So now I'm going to go to that link that I shared earlier. And I said the KPI represents the form URL, which is what? AF Kobo Toolbox. Kobo Toolbox. AF.Kobo Toolbox /API/V version 2 /assets and then the UID, right? I'm going to go and copy this UID. I'm going to copy this UID. Now, the initial stages, you might feel a bit overwhelmed, but this is really simple, I tell you. And once you start to use it, make sure the curly brackets are not there, only the data. Once you practice, you should be fine. Okay, great. So, having done that, oh, great. So having done that, I'm just going to click enter, and it should give me a page with a whole lot of code. Something wrong with my internet. Just check. Okay. All right. So, oh, in my URL, I didn't type .org. I think there was a problem. Because my internet is just okay. So I have a page that has opened now, and what you need to do when this page opens is to scroll to the bottom part of the page, all right, until you see HTTP 200 OK. All right. So once you find this page, you will find that there are two links over there. All right. There is a top link, which is a generic link, but the data links are CSV file and Excel file, the two again. Okay, great. So for the purpose of our Power BI work, I'm going to just select XLS and not CSV. You can select CSV, if you want, but I like to use XLS for this purpose. So I'm just going to copy link address. You can also do it like manual copying, whichever works for you, without the quotation marks. But I usually just prefer to use copy link address using the right thing. Once you've copied this, then we are ready to go to Power BI. So far, I want to know if everyone is okay after this before we go into Power BI. And like I said, I will show you a second way of this, which is a bit more, I don't know. It's usually necessary to know that when you are dealing with sensitive data, you don't want anybody at all to have access to it. Anybody who knows coding and things like that. You want username and password to be when someone is trying to access that link. Then usually you would go for the token. It's really not difficult. It's the same thing. Basically, you still need a KPI, and I'm going to show you in Power BI. Send us the link. I can download the first link. Which link are we talking about? Which link are you trying to download? Nafisatu. I'm gonna let you speak. I can hear you. Nafisatu, which link are you talking about? Can you unmute? I've allowed you to speak. Hi, Nafisatu. Very good. Wow. Anyway, yeah. So just go ahead and okay. Listen to the link. The KPI. Oh, I dropped the link. Let me just send you the file itself. Um, Okay, you should have it right about now. Makisatu and anyone else who wasn't gotten that. I think I pasted it earlier. So what I'm saying is that for now, um, you may not be able to practice, but you need to just know the process and understand how to retrieve the data. It's the most important thing. And if you're able to do that, you will get some great results. It's one of the most complex things for a lot of people. So if you're able to do this, then you're fine because Power BI is not very complex. It is how to bring in the data. Okay, so I've opened Power BI. I think it's still loading. So I'm going to wait a few seconds for it to load completely. Save memory. Great. Here we go. All right. So this is one of the major parts of what we want to do today, connecting the data to Power BI and then visualize. Visualization is the least part of the work. The connection is the most important part. If it's not done well, you can access the data. All right. I think Power BI is still taking a bit of time. Long. Uh, all right. I'm sure you can see my Power BI interface right now. So when Power BI opens, you're going to see, and it will usually ask you to maybe log in or something, or get started and all of that. You can get data from the interface. I did a slide. I just wanted to talk about some key features of Power BI, just in case we have people who have never interfaced or used this application. Power BI is a business intelligence tool used for analyzing and visualizing, sharing data. It is a Microsoft product, and it is by far the most widely used visualization tool. Mainly because it has a desktop version that is largely free. It has other features that require you to pay. Like Power BI shared workspaces when you have to publish and post products. You need an enterprise account or something. So there are other applications that you also have to purchase if they suit your business needs. However, Power BI Desktop is enough for anyone who wants to just do, basic, very simple work. You can create dashboards, analyze, work on data, transform data, analyze data, and you're able to create dashboards that you can use to visualize what is happening in the organization. Now, the key features you need to know about Power BI are visuals, dashboards, and data storage. When we take a visual in Power BI, we mean a single chart, a single diagram, a single table that is showing in the interface. When we say a dashboard, we're talking about a collection of those visuals to be able to provide some information about the specific data you are working on. And then when we say a data story, we mean providing additional details about the data you are working on, and even telling the consequences of that data on the organization, all right, or your business, and probably even trying to find the root causes, the challenges, or some of the patterns that you've noticed in your data. So that is the thing about Power BI, and it's good to have this basic understanding of it. We'll be talking about visuals and dashboards a lot. So I'm just going to close this so you can have access to the real thing. When you have this interface, you can import data, and this is the good thing about Power BI. Power BI allows you to import all types of data, all manner of data, so many options. I don't know. I think it's just a wonderful tool. And you're able to access on the page over here, you see some of the basic things you can import into your Power BI interface. You can click here to get data from other sources, or click here to get data. Most of the time, I like to load my data straight away into Query. And Power Query, if you've used Excel, then you know Power Query, which is used for very rapid transformation of data. So, all the time, coding all kinds of formulas and things like that. So Power Query is a very powerful tool, and we have it in Power BI as well. And it's called transform data. It's not called Power Query there. And the thing about it is that usually I like to just load data into transform right away. Just so that I'm able to go straight into Power Query. But you can use get data. Now let's talk about the interface you see here before we load the data. The first page over here with the bars that you see on the left corner over here says report. So this is the report view of Power BI. What is report view? This is where you create all your visuals and dashboards, right? A lot of the things that you'll be creating are on this page. And so you see that on the right-hand side, you will find three buttons or tabs. You have the filter tab, you have the visualizations tab. This is where you pick all kinds of, all kinds of visualizations that you want to do. Then you have the filter tab where you pick information from your data to populate those visuals. So we have these three that you need to take note of. Working here. So this is where everything happens. But before, you also have the data view. After you have cleaned your data in Power Query, which is transform data, and done all that you need to do to make sure the data is in a shape that is suitable for analysis. And once you close and load the Power Query, it comes into this. So you'll find the data showing in a table format in this page. Then we have the last one, which is called model. This last, tab over here opens up the relationships page. And what we're trying to say basically is that, there are different ways that tables are joined. We have unions. So you can append a table, you can join a table, then you can also create connections by using relationships. These are the three types of connections that we do with tables. If tables have the same column, maybe two tables, they all have the same column headers or titles, you can unionize them and just bring them together. But if one table has some information and another table has only a piece of that information plus other attributes which you want to refer to, you are able to do some kind of not merging, but some kind of you append the two in a way that one can refer to the other. So we usually call the place, the one that is going to do the reference, we would call would have the column that we call, the foreign key, and then the other one will have primary key. I don't want to go into all those details. If you want to do all of those things, you can take a Power BI course in this conference, or later on, spend some time to learn Power BI in detail. Okay, Someone is asking for the BI. Yes. So it's Power BI. You just go to Power BI Microsoft, right? And you'll find it down. It's free. So that is that about these 3 pages. So this is where you create those connections if you have more than one table in your data set. We're going to go back to our reporting. All right. Now we want to bring in the data from Kobo tool that we've generated. All the data you sent through, we want to bring it here. But we don't want to be bringing documents, because if we had downloaded the XLS or CSV file in Kobo, we would have come here and select maybe CSV or Excel workbook and load it physically from our computer. We don't want to do that. That's too much work. Because if you have 100 enumerators in different districts sending you data, every 2 hours the data is coming through from different places. You cannot keep downloading Excel files, not possible. So what you do is we're going to use web to bring in the data. And now that is where the link that we generated using what I gave you and what we did, where we're going to use that link. So you just click on web and you find basic. Okay. Now in the first method, we will not use advanced. I'll teach you how to use the advanced. Okay, when you're dealing with complex data, that deals with sensitive information that you want to prove that everybody doesn't get access. But you set up the questionnaire survey, so you need to use your username as well people can access it. We'll use the advanced method here. But for this, the basic, you just pull the data that we had from the workings that we did. Put it over here and just click OK. And Power BI should be able to find the data. So we'll just wait a few seconds. Power BI will work it out. And we will have the data. I've pasted the link to the Power BI, I think, powerbi.microsoft.com. Now, Pishato, unless you want to know I want to know which other link you are referring to, then maybe I can go. Awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, Power BI has found our data from Kobo 2. All right. And if we click on this table, which is been picked up by Kobo, we will find all kinds of information in it. Now, at this stage, what I would like to do is to load this data, select it, and load it into Power Query. Remember, in Power BI, we call Power Query is transform data. Okay. If you load it now, it's going to go into Power BI directly into this page that we looked at earlier, the data interface. But we wanted to go into Power Query where we can do some, transformations and prepare the data for what we want to do, make it clean and nice. The Kobo link. Oh, okay. So, all right. You want to try it out at your end as well. Okay. That is the link. All right. Okay. But like I said, you don't go sharing this link with people anyhow. You use it for your dashboard creation. Because anybody with access to that link can see every type of information in your data. They don't have to be a hacker or anything. Once they know their way around data, With that link, they can enter Power BI or any place and pull all the information about your respondents and probably use it for blackmail. Or meanwhile, you've told your respondents that you're going to keep their data safe. So it's very important to make sure this link doesn't just go to anyone at all, just for trial purposes. Otherwise, I wouldn't give out a link to any of my other projects that I've done for clients or anything like that. Great. So go back to Power BI and load our data into Power Query. So far, so good. Are you following? Send me a message. Let me know. Francis and all the other people on the call. I always like to know that people are following and not confused. Great, thank you, Yao. All right. Now this is what we have. We have our data set over here. All right, all the information we need is here. Okay. But we need to do some cleaning. And the great thing about Power Query is every step, everything we do will be recorded and we can go back, redo, undo whatever we did or change a process and all of that. So now that we've opened this, there are some columns certainly I don't need. I mean, the stats are good when you are the survey coordinator or supervisor, like a project manager or M&E manager or M&E specialist, overseeing data collection in the field. You want to be sure that there is time between when they start collecting data and when they finish makes logical sense, right? Because if you expect that the average time to be spent on a survey is 10 minutes, but people are spending 45 minutes, you would want to find out what is going on. Okay, probably something is happening in the field that you're not aware of. And if people are spending 2 minutes to finish forms that should take 10 minutes, immediately as an M&E specialist, you know that look, something is going on in the field. You need to investigate. Right. So these metadata and things help you to track. But for our analysis purposes, this is not really helpful, and we're going to just, I'm going to go to remove columns and just remove those columns that I feel are not relevant to what I want to do. So going through the data, everything looks great so far. You remember the calculation segment that I did? It didn't show in the form, but you see, because I coded a calculation in COBOL, it gave me the total of boys and girls automatically. So that is how to do things like that. Yesterday, I think we didn't get enough time to, hold on. We didn't get enough time yesterday to do a lot of calculations in COBOL toolbox. You can, that is an exciting thing. Now, we have our GPS information here. We have the latitude, the longitude, and all of those. I'm not sure I need, you know, precision and altitude. They don't mean anything to me right now. I will only check, for instance, usually I will check, you know, the precision to be sure that people are a bit close to exactly where they capture the data point. Because if, for instance, I want to know location of hospitals that we have performed or schools that we've built under the project, then I want to be sure that whatever precision this is capturing on the mobile devices that people are using is accurate enough, is precise, maybe less than 5 meters or at most 10 meters. You don't want people being 50 meters away from where the property you are trying to track is and put it in your data. So that will tell you that, look, this thing is wrong, and you can ask them to go and collect it again so you can get more precise geographic data. Great. So I reversed that process, so I'm going to just right. I don't need altitude. I don't need precision. I'm going to remove those as well. And all these ID things, I don't need them right now. They are just metadata for the survey supervisor to check data quality. Great. So this is, I think, the main thing that I need for my data analysis. Okay. So I'm just going to press close and apply. Now, I want to advise you one thing you should always do as a best practice. And I didn't do that, but I'm just letting you know when you are about to do some work in Power Query, I advise you always create, all right, a duplicate of the data that you have imported. You can always create a duplicate to just in case you make changes that affect the way you wanted things to look like and you are not able to reverse to the original. You still have your original table to go back. So just take note of that. Now we're going to close and apply. If we just apply, it will still be on this page. So we'll close and apply so we can go to Power BI. Um, so just a second. Power BI should load. Then we will do some visualization and then we'll move to geographic information system. Internal server error. Hold on. So Power BI is loading. I don't know why it gave an error. So when you come back to your main page, you see apply changes. It means every change that was made in Power Query, you want to pick it here. If you discard changes, it will not load the changes that you made in Power Query. So that is one thing you should take note. Great. Our data has been loaded and it's generating the various fields from the data in this column over here. So you can see the table is here. If we expand the table, all the various columns and details in the table are displayed over here. All right, great. Now we want to create our dashboard. And I mean, it depends on what you want to visualize. If you're a project manager, you are an executive of your business or an M&E specialist, you know the type of data you want to see, the one that is critical to you. So we're going to try to create some dashboards right now. And the way to go about it is that this is the canvas where you're going to draw everything you want to do. And you're going to be pulling different types of visualizations from this section over here. All right. And you're going to use the formatting of the tape. Now, before I begin, I usually like to have a custom background for my visuals. So I'm going to go to this setting over here. It's just opposite the visuals. Okay. So under visualization, you have visuals, then you have what? Formatting. And I'm going to come down here. Previously, those of you who have been using Power BI, you know this used to be called a page background, page settings and things like that. But I think BI in the latest update has changed this to canvas. Because these days everybody is using the term canvas, in Adobe, in design, and all of those. So I think they're also just trying to keep up. I'm going to select a background that I want to have before I create mine. You can choose not to use a background, and that is absolutely okay. Not a problem at all. Let me see if I have that here. Okay, I have my BI background. I usually use that for lessons. You can create all types of backgrounds yourself, depending on your organization, so that you can add your organization logo and so many things. But without a background, you can still go ahead and just create and change that later in BI. You can change the color of your background. You can do so many things when you want to format. All right. So the transparency is on 100. You're not going to see what you loaded, but I'm just going to leave it this way for myself. Now, the first thing we want to do, of course, would be we want to know, let's say, we have your name of project. Okay, so we want to know the total number of beneficiaries. Okay? And we want to display that as a number. And whenever it changes, we are able to tell something has happened. And that is going to be represented by the calculation that we did. As a matter of fact, you can decide to rename this, and I'm going to call it total of void and will. But I'm going to leave it for now until probably later. So let's bring in a card that can display that type of thing. We'll just click on a card and bring that here. So the top here is my header. I'm going to put the probably, maybe my organization name or whatever. And this is my logo. But I'm just going to keep this card here as my first, and then I'm going to, drag this into it. You can either do that, you can drag it directly into the card, or you can just put it in the fields over here. Okay, that is the sum of calculation. So this is going to give us a total of all beneficiaries in all the projects that you are collecting data. Okay, it won't break it down, into bits and pieces. It won't do that. Just need to confirm something right now. Great. So it has loaded the data. It has seen that we have 3,116 beneficiaries. Okay, so I'm just going to position this and maybe do a little bit of formatting. Once you select it, you can always come here and do a little bit of what do you call editing and formatting. I don't want to have a category label. You saw some written down there, and probably go to general, where I can add a title to the card. Let's call it hold on, we turn it on first, we expand it and type the text. I'm going to call it total number of if you're also following with your own Power BI, you can do something like that, give it whatever title you want. I'm going to make it a little bigger. I'm going to center it, and I'm going to change the text color. Yeah, so basically, the card background, well, I don't know, you can do whatever you like. No, that's the background for the title, so no filter. We're still on the title. So you can change the font type and use something that appeals just to make your, I mean, these design things is basically about personal preference, the amount of time you have, really. Yeah, because when your leadership is on you, but you can always set up your dashboard and make it beautiful, you know, when you have time. Okay, we're going to close this back. The background of, the whole thing that we've created, if you don't like the white and you think you can have something a bit more, nicer, well, you can always explore that. Whatever works for you. I'm going to do that. And then going to make it a little bit transparent. Maybe you can do some borders and all of those kinds of things. We're not going to go into tooltips and all the others. So for the value itself, I want it to be white so that it's there for everyone, and I can actually the value is called a call-out value. That is the main thing that and I want it displayed, of course, the right value, so it's okay. Of course, and it's white already. I'm just probably going to bold it and then keep it over there. All right, so that is that about the first one. Now, before you select your next visualization, you need to select where you are currently working. Otherwise, whatever visualization you select is going to replace this one and change everything you've done. I want us to see if we can disaggregate male and females, just know what is happening. With male-female disaggregation, this is a start column. And I think just look at how they are disaggregated plus okay, we didn't collect that data. Otherwise, that I think would have really been great for us to look at. Anyway, but yeah, we can just load we can load gender into this. We want to see the gender disaggregation. And then probably look at this as well. Otherwise, now I'm going to explain what you're seeing. Okay. I feel that I may not have to use, let me just use a normal bar chart to show gender disaggregation. And this is for say the various positions, right? Okay, I think we mostly selected project manager and M&E specialist. Probably we only have two positions. All right, so we want to see the male female disaggregation of the people that we collected the data from, those who answered the data, the survey, and I mean we can just go into this and do some changes because it doesn't look really great right now. Um, Let me see, change the title, remove all of those. Background. You can do whatever you want over here, really. I like to have data labels on, see the numbers, and no, I need this. You can remove the grid lines, unnecessary. Um, all right. The layer order is fine. All right. So now that we have this, we leave this. We don't really have the time to do a lot of editing and stuff like that. I think we can also do what do you call? Yes, last date of visiting a project. So we can use area chart, enter an area chart. The names, we will do it by names just to see, or probably by position. No, but this one we should do it by names. We want to see the last project visit. Do it by year. Should rather be on the x-axis. Sorry. This is it's calculating it this way because it's saying it's calculating it as a time, and that is really not what we are looking for. Yes. So we're going to show values as oh no. A second, I think the type of data we put in there needed to have cleaned it later because of the nature of the data that collected. It's something I needed to have done. Yes. So, two. All right. All right. So when I go into Kobo, and when I go into Kobo right now and look at this particular form that we created, and I open it, load record. Now I'm going to try to add a few more entries just to see how that happens in Kobo as well. Just because of the data type that I think we put in earlier. So we're going to have maybe Maxwell Nedry. He's male. He's a project manager handling Coco like some additional number of beneficiaries. The last project visit, probably in June. Okay, I'll leave this out for that particular video because of time. And then this inception was maybe 2020 August. And submit. Okay. Now the data has been submitted in Kobo. So what you want to be sure about to see is whether there will be a change in the dashboard. Okay. So all you need to do is to refresh Power BI. Now, if you refresh for Power BI, it's going to try to query the original data source. And whatever new data it finds, it's going to try to pull it and bring it back into the dashboard. So now so from all submissions, I think we should now have, initially we had about 8 submissions. Okay. So the other entry has come through. And so we should be able to see an update in Kobo. Now we are seeing this update, which has now changed. We see that the form, our document, the first card has changed. And this also has changed from 5 to 6. So these two have changed. There is a little challenge with, the date information because of the way it was coded. All right, so Great. Um, all right, so the formatting of that data was a bit of a challenge, but you have to take note of those kinds of things when bringing the data into Power BI, just to make sure it's formatted in a way, or it comes out like a date in a way that is, during the data analysis. Okay. All right, great. So because we added new data from the form, it has updated. Now, any new data that is pushed through any of the form, like the link that I sent earlier, I sent a link earlier. If you were to add additional data to that form, it'll keep changing over here anytime you refresh. Okay, anytime you refresh. So that is the beautiful thing about Power BI, bringing the data in from Kobo and being able to get it to refresh in your dashboard regularly so you can see what is happening over time. Now, this is manual refresh. It is possible for you to also automate the refresh. Okay, so for those of you who have enterprise versions of Power BI, when you log in, and depending on the type of data source, where you are bringing the data from into Power once you click, don't select any of the visuals, you click the main dashboard. Once you click in the main dashboard, okay, click in the main dashboard. I need to select this. Great. And you come to the formatting page. Below filter cards, you will find a button called refresh, page refresh. So when you find the page refresh, all you have to do is to click on it and specify how often you want the page to refresh. I don't have that right now on the version that I'm using. But if you get into your enterprise version and you log in and you bring in the data from whatever source, you are able to set a refresh time. And of course, set a minimum of 1 second. It usually defaults to 30 minutes when you click on it. You find that it has been defaulted to 30 minutes. But you can increase it depending on, you must always align it to how much time it for new data to come in from the field. So let's say your enumerators and people collecting the data are bringing in data every 20 minutes. Okay. And that is the estimated amount of time it takes. You can send it, you can, set it and do that. That is if you want to refresh by time interval. You can also refresh by any changes in the data. Whenever Power BI sees that a change has occurred in the data source, maybe some additional data has been added to it, Power BI is able to detect it and do that. You can still do that on the refresh page, or you can just go to the modeling tab, and you will find usually when you are logged in, you will find that the change detection button over is active. Once you click on change detection, all you have to enter is how often you want it to detect change. and then you are good to go. There is an advanced way to do this as well using Power Automate, but I don't recommend. I think that is a bit more complex. And for the purpose of this conference, the basics of the report, they should. Now, because of time, I want to see if we can quickly move into geographic information systems and see how you can visualize this data in GIS very quickly. So then we would, and don't forget to save your project. So I think we would save this as, we'll just save this as ADS. And just make sure that it's before we close Power BI. But what we have done in this segment is basically see how to code when you have done coding in your Kobo toolbox, or someone has already shared a form in Kobo toolbox, how you can set up the API systems so that you are able to pick the data from Kobo toolbox and bring it into Power BI, set up the dashboard. And setting up the dashboard is really a matter of choice and how you want to go about it, the type of data you want to look at. Let me just say that you can have a map. There is a possibility to do a map even in Power BI. Then you can see where they are gathering the data from visually. Showing in your map. So in this case, we already have our GPS information, which we can just transmit into the GPS card, and it should populate a map for us. Great. So it might take a little bit of time, but here we go. So the information that has been picked from Kobo, we should be able to see that information populating, So I can decide to just bring in the latitude and the longitude. Great. So you see, it's saying that you need to set the aggregate for latitude and longitude to don't summarize. That, of course, that is very true. That is something that we need to make sure we do, so then we don't have any issues with it. Okay. But even before you do that, you need to make sure certain minor things are done. Your data, you go to file options. I have found that usually when this is not done, we could have issues with displaying GPS data. So you go to file, go to options, settings, come to global, and you go to security. All right, and in security, you have to make sure that you have checked the use of map and field map visuals, things like that. So that has to be done. You have to make sure that you have set that. All right, so once I've changed the data and everything in the, our data points will show in the map. All right, all the various places where data has been, based on the GPS coordinates that we entered, all the places that we collected data will pop up all across. And you can see it in the map that we have populated. So you find some in Eastern region and all over the place. All right, so you can later do a lot of work around your map and get it set the way you want. But of course, you can get a map looking. There are so many things you can do, in Power BI using the map visual. So you need a software that deals with geographic information system to be able to do more complex work. All right. So I think we're gonna leave it here because of time. When you have time, just play around the data, capture data in Kobo, and see how you can plot it in your visualization pane and create your dashboard. Now you know how to be able to get the data coming in, updating, and how to set it to work. So that is the key thing to know about bringing in data from Google. All right, so I'm going to close this pane and ask if you have any question. Then I'm going to do geographic information system. Is there any question from anyone online? All right. So since nothing is coming up, now this is what we're going to do. In GIS, we would like to download a file, CSV. We'd like to download a CSV file and export it from what we have entered. And then we will use it for our GIS. Now, what is GIS? That is Geographic Information Systems. Is just a series of hardware and software that really helps to, do a lot of data visualization, analysis, capturing, and all kinds of things, and visually displayed over maps and locations to let people know what is going on. Now, for M&E purposes, usually you are doing a report or data is coming through from Kobo or any other software you're using, maybe Starbase. And you want to be able to show on a map exactly where various things are located. Maybe you are dealing with schools, hospitals, you're dealing with churches, whatever you want to display, you want to show it in a map and also have the attributes, showing. All right, so what we do is usually, and I'm sure in the advertisement of, I think that in the advertisement of the conference, I think it was mentioned that, I don't know if you read it under this course, whether you needed to download QGIS. But if you don't have it installed, that is not a problem. You can still follow and just see how this is done. And then you can download it at your own convenience. We're going to use a software called QGIS. We could use GIS, but ArcGIS is really not free. And you can only use the trial for a short while, and you have to purchase the version. So I'm introducing you to QGIS, which is a free and open source software. You can download it online, QGIS.org. So I'm going to open the software. Okay, so I think we didn't get time to show you how to do the advanced bit of Kobo. I'm just going to drop that file for you at your own convenience. You can find some time and just practice that. Okay, so I'm going to send you this when you have time. Okay. Now we have QGIS is loading, and then we'll see how to bring in location data that we collected into QGIS. And I must say that these things usually require a lot of time. And when you combine this with other things, uh, it will just take you a much longer time. Well, but when you have time, you can always experiment and explore this software and see how to go about it. Right. But QGIS naturally can take a little bit of time. When you download and it's taking a bit of time to load, don't bother. It's really normal. It's quite a huge version. If you want to download it, I think it's about 1 GB, something like that. Yeah, if you have good internet, you can download that and then see how use it. But then before it opens, let me just say something a little about the software. I think I did a right. So we see QGIS has opened up, but before we talk about we go into the software, let me just explain a couple of things. I'm sure you can see my screen. Um, when we say GIS, you know, we like I explained, geographic information systems help us to do a lot. It's used by a lot of different types of professionals. People in hydrology, people in meteorology, people that are in the air traffic industry, different things that can be done. As a matter of fact, GIS can be used to track real-time data about how planes are flying, vehicles are moving. Different types of things can be done in GIS. It's a very, very powerful system. But we just want to focus on how to get some of our project data or our monitoring evaluation data into map, kind of map, and be able to label it and make it look visually appealing, so then we can get all the information we need just by looking at, you know, a single map. And you know, executives usually don't have the time to read all the pages of report. We want to include these type of things for them to easily understand what you're saying. You are a project manager that wants to speak, members of the board of the organization or whatever. You use this type of thing. There are two types of key main types of data in GIS. The first is what we call the vector data, and the second is raster data. We also have attribute data, even though usually I wouldn't consider key type, but we need to be aware as well that there is that type of data in QGIS. The first one, the vector data, usually just represents, geographic data that is symbolized by points, lines, and polygons. Now I'll explain what we mean by points, lines, and polygons briefly. What we mean is that usually when you see a map, like the map of Africa, this is computer generated. We see some dots that are indicating, the main countries or cities. You see some lines, some blue showing rivers and the sea and things like that. Now, those types of features, and we see the boundaries of the various countries, right? Those are all computer generated. Okay. When you even look at this other map over here, this is also computer generated. It was created using coordinates. So when you look at it, the way to understand the difference between vectors and raster is vectors use coordinates, numbers, those coordinates, to determine these points and these lines. Lines are also known as arcs. And then polygons. Now, a point can refer to, a hospital, a school, a specific feature, unit. Okay. Something that is cited in a particular place. So if you want to maybe track hospitals in your project, schools, whatever you are trying to track, Those can be what? Points. Now you find that even cities is represented as a point, but it refers to a specific, it can be a point within a geographic area. Then you have what we call lines and arcs. Now, lines and arcs, usually you're talking about rivers and streets, things that are not points, but they are, lengthy in nature. Those can be represented. Polygons usually refer to areas that can be measured. So like a country, you have several points that have become lines, and those lines have become shapes. These are known as polygons. They are areas that can be measured. That is what we mean by vector data. We have what we call raster data. When we say raster, I was just explaining a few seconds ago. Vector data deals with, the points, the lines, and the polygons. But raster data deals with photos, okay, imagery. It is not specifically computer generated, but it's real. And so the difference between vector and raster is vector uses coordinates, but raster uses pixels. Okay. That is why when a photo taken from up the sky, like a satellite image, maybe when you visit Google Earth and you're trying to access images of a city or a country, the more you are trying to expand the image, the sharpness kind of reduces it. So images from photographs, aerial photographs, satellites, digital pictures, even when you scan a map and it becomes a photo, that is a raster or a raster data. Then we have attribute data, which is simply data that is coming from a table in GIS. And it includes points, coordinates that lead to certain points. So what are the functions of GIS? GIS can be used to capture data, store data, query data, analyze, display data, and output data. We want to look at how to capture and display and output. There's a whole lot of analysis and query that can be done in GIS. Very, very complex that are done by people that are into remote weather, meteorologists, hydrologists, geologists. We will not go into some. When we do a GIS project, the output will be a paper map. Maybe we want a paper map to print out an internet, information, an image can be a JPEG or PDF, or a poster in a document. And save these into different types, and all that. Okay, so let's go back to our software. When you open QGIS, now I don't know if you have it, but if you don't, it's not a problem. You can download it at your own convenience, but you can just follow the steps here. When you open QGIS, this is what you see. Okay. If you have a recent project, it will show up there, and some information about it. All right, so the first thing you want to do to start building your map is that you need to save your new project. You need to give it a name. You say new, or you can just say save as. You're trying to create a project. And we are just going to call this global data. Global data. All right. Just give me a second to get a glass of water. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, so once we save this as corporate data, yeah, we have a new project. We have a new project. Now, what we need to do, first of all, you cannot build a GIS project without having a base map. What do we mean by a base map? A base map is the fundamental map based on which you are going to plot your data you have collected. So if you've collected data on projects or schools or hospitals, whatever data you have, which you want to plot on a map, you need to have a base map, like a mother map, so to speak, on which you will do the plotting and everything. So the best thing, usually, I always use OpenStreetMap. You can import shape files, in your country, wherever you are located. Every country usually will have shape files for their country, districts in the country, regions. You can go to, for Ghana, for instance, you can go to, I think, data.gov.gh. Yeah, and you'll be able to access some of the data over there on the district shape files. And you can get all kinds of shape files on the internet as well. But I like to use OpenStreetMap because it kind of has the map of the whole world, and I can work with any part of it, depending on the project I'm working on. I'm working on a client's project that is in a certain country or outside of Africa. I have access to it. So when you open GIS, you should find OpenStreetMap, okay, in this particular, what we call the browser. It should be here, okay. If for some reason you don't find OpenStreetMap, you can go to plugins and you can go to manage and install plugins. And it'll bring up this, and I advise that you look for, okay, you can look for Quick Map. You can look for Quick Map service. And then you select it and you click, I have it installed already. But if you don't, if you are going in there for the first time, it will not be installed. So you click on what? Install, download and install. And then it will install, then you close it. When you close, then all you have to do is to come to web over here on the menu tab, go to Quick Map Services, and you will find OpenStreetMap, OSM, then OSM Standard. When you click on this, you will find the map to work with. All right. So now we have OpenStreetMap. All I'm going to do is that I need to open this so that it will come to my layers. Layers is everything that we open in this project. Come to layers. All right. So the way to do is to just click on this. All right. And then the map should open. All right, great. So this is the whole world. And oh, let me. Oh, I'm just gonna select. Select. I'm gonna leave this. I want to focus in on Ghana. All right. So a lot of the data I made you to input when we're collecting the data is from Ghana, right? So we have the Ghana base map over here. All right. Now what we need to do is to bring in data from Kobo tools. Okay. I think we downloaded some data earlier on. No. Oh, okay. Looks like the data was not downloaded. So I'm just going to go download that data. What we worked on, going to download the CSV file. So you want to bring text into GIS. So that is CSV. CSV is comma separated values. It's usually small in size because it doesn't have a lot of formula and other things and formatting. Just separate every data in your document by using commas. But Excel uses all kinds of formatting and things. That's why Excel files are usually very used. So we have a CSV file we're going to save. It's called global versions. All right, go to okay. Now we come here, and what we need to do is to load this data into so we're gonna, you see there's a button here with a plus. All right, it's known as what? Open Data Source Manager. You can use Control L to open it, or you can just click on the plus sign. Open. There are different ways to do this. You can actually even go to layer, go to add layer, add vector layer, and you still have that in the pop-up. All right, so when you open this, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. When you open this, you'll find vector. Okay. Now you can load it from here, but I advise that because there's delimited text, you come to delimited text, which is where you can load all types of, that are saved, all types of documents that are saved as CSV and things like that. Now you'll find that on this page, you have what? CSV, regular expression delimiter, custom delimiter. CSV is files that are separated by comma. There are times that you download a document from a source and it's separated by a slash, a pipe sign. Okay. This is like what you call a pipe. L. Then it can be separated by a semicolon or a colon. If that happens, you need to click on custom delimiters and select the appropriate delimiter that has been used in your data. That means you need to open your data and inspect it. You need to open the data and inspect the data. Oh, we just saved this data now. Global all values. Okay, it's in GIS data. All right. So I'm trying to open this document just so that I can inspect the text about it so that all my data is separated by comma. Now, when you look in here, you find that yes, each of our data blocks are separated by comma. Okay, you see comma separating everything. So the data is in double quotes, and then it's so that's great. We don't need to make any. That's awesome. All right, so we're just gonna go back to CSV. Then we come and click file name over here, and then select the file. Oh no, that's not. Yeah, and once we do that, the next thing that we have to look out for is the geometry. Make sure that this geometry is set to WGS 84. Okay. If it is not set to WGS 84, that can be a problem. So that is the first thing that we need to do. All right. So let me see. Zoom thing is open. Okay. So go back here. Um, so normally, once you upload this document, you should find that the coordinates X and Y will load up. However, um, what I see is that that has not been loaded up. So these need to, kind of like load up over here. So then we know that GIS can actually see our path and in the data that is in there. Okay. So I just hope that no sections were deleted at any point. Let me just go back to Kobo and download the file again. And I'm going to, this time, I'm going to save it as XLS just for some purpose because it's not recognizing. So I'll just download this. All elements. coding. Well, so watch screen. I think the Kobo file is failing to show the CSV. Okay. But well, I'll probably just use another file to demonstrate what I'm trying to show you, and then probably investigate what the issue is. All right, so I'll probably just use another file. All right, so sorry, I don't know, but something is wrong with the file we generated from Kobo. Somehow GIS is failing to see the coordinates. Once you load data, okay, if you go to layers, data source manager, or add layer, or you use this button that I showed you, and you select CSV, and the file that we downloaded is this. This field should populate X and Y. X, you should see X here and Z here, saying that, QGIS has, kind of identified coordinate data. But for some reason, I can't see. Now, the only thing that will usually make that difficult or not work is if your CRS, coordinate reference system, the geometry, is wrongly set. Sometimes there could be something that doesn't work well. If you select pseudo McCarter, sometimes it may not even pick. But we are on the right, this is the right coordinate reference system, so there shouldn't be that problem at all. But then it's still not seen. I'm going to use this other data file just to demonstrate to you how you can do that, so that when you collect your own location data and store it as a CSV file, you know how to import it into GIS and how to visualize it. Okay, great. So here we have, and I'll do this. All right, this is some data out there that I can use to show you just what I want to show you. Okay, so, oh, come on. Great. So this data that you have successfully brought in your coordinates, all the coordinates that you've collected. Let's say, this has to do with, worship centers in the United States, churches, mosques, and things like that. And this is data that I'm using for something else. Once you collect that GPS data and you import, this is how it will look like on the map. But you are not done, because we don't know what these things stand for. We don't know what they mean. We don't know what the colors mean and things like that. Okay, so you have to do a couple of things, and you start off by going to labels. All right. And the way you go to labels is you right click on the particular data that you're dealing with. This is our data set that we brought in. OpenStreetMap is still open. You can deselect OpenStreetMap and leave it this way. But of course, that will not look so great. So let me, okay. All right. Now, when you select this and you right click, and you can double click on it as well to bring up the same. You go to labels, and then you go to now there are no labels, so you click on single labels, all right, and it'll pop up this information. Now, what labels do you want to display from the data that you have imported? As a matter of fact, what I was going to show you from the data that we worked on is to display the project names. Okay, so we would have come to value, click the drop down, and we will look for project name. Once we click on that, it'll give us the various names that we want displayed. Now I'm going to select county for this purpose. I want the county. County is like a district, so I want it to display on the map showing the particular county that we have. All right. Well, I'm going to do a little bit of formatting. You know, maybe change this to Arial, or whatever you can find that is appealing to you. You just leave it at a high title. You can do all the normal formatting that you know about. Change the color of the text the way you want it. And then, of course, the opacity. If you want the text to be very deep or you want it to look light, you can do that over here as well. I'm just going to leave the rest of that. One more thing I like to do is call outs, but I'll probably come and show you how to do the call outs. But you can do this formatting here, spacing and things like that. All be done. Wrap into lines, wrap lines to things like that. You can do all of those. The alignment, you want it justified or center. All those things can be done. Once you are done with labeling, the next thing to do is symbology. Okay. I'll go to symbology. Now, let's say that if we had what I would have done is to show you how we want to display with different colors, different projects. Okay. Like if you are collecting data on different health centers, hospitals, or food. You want to differentiate maybe primary schools from secondary schools, from universities, or you want to show different levels of health facilities that you have. Maybe it's a district hospital, it's a health center, whatever you want to show. You're going to use symbology to do that. And the way to do that is you come to symbology, click on what categories. It's usually by default it's on single. But you click on what categories. Now you can do this here, or you can do it in the layer styling as well. Layer styling is something that you are able to do for that type of work. Now, if you can't find the layer styling on your version of QGIS, you can always go to, the panels, and then you select layer styling, and it will pop up on the right of your page. Okay, now let's go back to symbology. So at symbology, I'm going to use categorize so that I can categorize different types of things. Now, I remember our main thing that is going to show is the name of the county, right? But we want to symbolize and show, let's say, counties, state style, state style. Oh, okay. Let's say we want to show that county by location type. Now, you should follow what I'm doing here very critically, because if you can do this, you're going to be able to develop excellent maps for your monitoring evaluation reports, okay, your project reports. These are not things you do in 1 hour, 2 hours. These are things that require, whole day, multiple days of training. But we are trying to pack everything in. So don't worry if we seem to be taking time and things are not clear to you. Don't worry. It'll take some time and now what I'm just saying is that at label, you are just going to show what names should pop up on the map. That is label. You can, well, I want the project names or project locations. Sure. Okay. So we can decide that the labels that will show on the map are the names of the projects or the names of wherever the projects are found. That is label. But when you come to symbology, here we're trying to see how we can use colors to differentiate the different points that we want to show on the map. Okay, so when we come to symbology, I said we must move from single symbol and go to what? Category. So we need to categorize what we're doing. Now, I'm trying to let us categorize this various symbols that will show on the map by location type. Okay. Once you select what you want to classify by value, okay. Click on classify. Now, classify will now extract all the different types of locations that you have in your data set. So if you look here, all the different types of the location or whatever are shown here. We have Chabad, community center, convent, monastery. These are all the stuff that we have in the data set. Okay. Now, all other values has been automatically generated by just to assume that, just in case there's something else, we don't have a name for this. We are going to uncheck. Otherwise, it will show up when we have to do our measurement. Okay. So we will uncheck this. There's a way to set it automatically so it doesn't give this type of info. I'm not going to do that. So, now you just press apply. Press OK. Now see what is happening on the screen. See what is happening with our data. The data has been classified. You can see different colors showing. The most popular one is what? Not available or something. So probably going to take out not available so that we have a data. Are my friends with me? I don't know if I'm just talking alone right now. Please, can you send me, give me a high five or something, or send me a message? I don't know you're still with me. Okay. Ah, nice, you're listening. Your name is Jane Francis. Awesome. So now you see I've just deselected something. So I've just deselected not available because it's just cluttering so much and it's making everything look funny. But now we have a better view of our data. Okay, classified by different locations. So if it's a center, you can see the color. If it's a Chabad, see the color, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right, so we will limit it to this. Now, let me show you things that we're going to do to make this map even more beautiful. Um, now, as it stands now, so, oh, it's all showing capitals. So I'm going to check that over. Okay. Now, I've just added the labels, but what is happening is that because this data set that I'm using currently to demonstrate this, it has a lot of project, a lot of data points, and the names are also long, so it looks a bit funny. But if we had our original data set, it would have been really great. There will only be few projects, and it will all be distributed very nicely. Right. So let's see what more we can do. Now that we've labeled this on the map, and of course the labels really look very long. Um, I usually wouldn't want that to be the case. But for now, just for purposes of demonstration, now what I'm doing. Great. Now, when you have something like this, you can also add something like, let's say you want to add, uh, we want to call something out. And like I was explaining, if we had the project data that we were working on earlier, that would have looked even much more better with the way that we would be able to show these on map, right? Okay, but let's try to see. We want to do a call out, and call out simply means that we'll have some lines that will bring out names of the various projects. And I like to use the Manhattan lines. Okay, so you can change the color of your what do you call? You can change. Let me just the color of your line, and you can do all kinds of things you want in this segment. Hold on. The opacity of the line, of course, very key. And then how thick you want the line to be is something you can see here as well. Okay, so we'll just keep it up. All right. Versus point. Let's do. So what this usually does is that it draws lines that connect the name, all right, the label that you are giving to the feature. It connects it to the point that has been categorized on the map. Okay, because sometimes things are so many that you need to be able to connect them with lines. You need to be able to connect them with lines. Great. because the data set is very huge, it always takes a bit of time for it to refresh whenever we make any changes. That's the thing. All right, so what I'm trying to do here is what you would call a call out, so that we are able to extend, the distance between the writings, okay, the words and the particular points that we are dealing with. And what the button would usually use is the move label or call out, which will give you this plus so that you can move something out a little bit. And then there will be a line that will continue to connect that particular thing that you tried to reset or to move around. So when you have a very huge data set and things get clustered and not looking also great, you can use the color. Okay. And over here, you can see that I've called this out, but the line isn't showing because the line color is almost like the background of the map. All right. So you have to be mindful of the color of the lines that we use for the color. And once you do that, and the same thing, I mean, you just go to properties, go to labels, instead of text, come to color, and select the type of line and do some formatting of it, just to make sure that the color kind of represents something that might provide. All right, so that is about text, and you can do these things. And then now let's see, how then do you finalize this map? Let's say you've been able to plot the hospitals, the projects, all the things that you've identified. So you see the call out, we have what? Great Falls Hebrew Association has been called out so that the writing is far away from the point. And you can see every individual element, because this is platform. You would want to do some call out to make it a bit more real. That is how we do for us. Now, how do you prepare this map? Make it ready for you to, add to your report. That executives who have to read can just, make reference to it. Now, to do this, you have to just go to project, all right? And when you zoom in or anything, always make sure you come and click back on the hand sign. Otherwise, your zoom will continue to kind of control what you're doing. So it's always important that you try to get back here. Now to export, to make this map ready for production, either to print it as a paper file for paper, or to make it a PDF, or just a picture file that you can embed into some document. You come to project and you click on what? Okay, so you don't go to import and export. Okay, people do this. It's not recommended, and this is not the way to go about. You click on new print layout and you give it a name. Worship centers. You give it a name and you save it. Now, once you click on OK, it'll pop up this layer where you are going to do all the finalization of your map to make it usable, right? Now, the first thing you do when you are in this layer is to add the map. So the map that is already open in the other window is going to come here, and you need to do that by clicking on the sign. It'll give you a plus sign, and you drag all the way here to bring the map over here. Depending on the size of the map that you're dealing with, all right, and the number of data points and stuff, this might take a little bit of time. and then it'll populate it over here for you. Um, right. Once you have this, you're on the way to actually creating your own map. Every map that you see anywhere was created by someone. And this is like one of the great ways to do it. So you do this one this way. So if you want to add something like um, you of course you need to add the north arrow to indicate, you know, the direction of your map. Every map needs to have that kind of thing, definitely. And you need to also have, you know, the scale bar. So when you click on this, it'll give you the scale bar for this particular product. All right, so we can decide to probably just put scale bar here. All right, and you are free to make changes to the scale bar. You can, once selected, you can actually come into item properties. Oh, I beg your pardon. Yeah, you can come to item properties and change it. Maybe it's in kilometers. You can change it into whatever you want to change it, right? And you can do the label unit. You can change different things in this segment. The other thing you can do, of course, every map needs to have great. Add a legend. A map must have a legend. And let's say we want to put the legend this. Now, because there is so much information, and you know those particular labels that we put in, they are very long. They are a bit long. So usually we would have to do some editing and just reduce things and all that. But yeah, now let's go to don't auto update this. You don't need to auto update. And over one column. I'll just remove that so this thing is a bit more smaller. So then, I mean, you try to see you can find some space for it on your map. And you know, let me just put it up here because normally if you created, if for instance the project work that we did, we wouldn't have had all these long things. It would have been short for your names, and the legend would have been really great. All right, so if you have the legend, let's see if we can reduce a little bit. Great. Headings and everything else. Just make this a little bit more appropriate. Yeah, so you can tweak and see what you can do. What else? Okay. All right, so once you do that, it should be good, and you should have, you know, at least a good enough map that you can export, and and the thing is, you can add any other things you want to add to this particular product, and you just have to look at this. But the basic things, of course, are your north arrow, your scale, your legend. If you want to add any notes or a photo or whatever, you can do that as well. All right. And once you are done, You just export as you know. All right, just some information it's giving me over there. I'm going to save it as PNG. You can select whatever format you like. I usually save all my photo documents as PNG, just to maintain high quality. So once you do this, it will be called what we've already given it a name when we're creating the layout. And we save it. Export resolution and whatnot. It's all there. And once that is done, the map has been generated using the coordinates, all the information that you got from Great. So here's the map. You can save as PDF if you want, but we have our map here right now. And because of the labeling, of course, it still looks a bit clumsy, but this was to demonstrate to you how you can create the map using GIS. Once you have your whole latitude and longitude information, GPS information, you can do whatever you want. All right, you can export as PDF, and it will still give you a PDF file right away. Great. So, friends, this is it. Bringing in data from Kobo into Power BI, and then also using the location information and visualizing it in geographic information system. At this point, there was a homework I had planned, but I'll just leave you to see what you can do with this. Moving forward, you can download QGIS and explore some things done. And we can always connect on LinkedIn if you wish. And if you have any questions, if you have anything you want to discuss, we can always have this discussion. But it's been good. I think we've taken quite a bit of time. Because of a few technical issues that we face. But I'm just dropping my LinkedIn to you. You can always connect, and we will see what is possible in the future. But I hope you learned something new, right from Kobo and setting it up for live connection in a Power BI, and of course visualizing in GIS. I hope you've learned something new that will help you in your job, in your project, whatever you do. All right. So thank you so much for staying with me. It's been quite some time. We've spent a lot of time. I think we started at what, 10? All right. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions, you can ask now. Otherwise, we'll be getting ready to end the session. Okay, so no question coming through at this point. So thank you so much, and see you again sometime. Okay, bye.